Dark clouds rolled across the sky. The enormous battleship slowly came to a stop above this endless mountain range, attracting a countless number of gazes. Everyone on the battleship gathered at the front of the ship. They looked at the precipitous mountain range below and sensed the auras of many experts within the mountain range. Quite a number of people were speechless. This was indeed worthy of being the headquarters of the Gu clan. The number of experts had already reached a terrifying number. Cuckoo, everyone here is an important guest of the Gu clan. Please proceed. Quite a number of people politely responded after hearing that elderly voice resound across the battleship, after which they moved their bodies and rushed down from the battleship before flying toward the cluster of buildings in the middle of the mountain range. That place was where the Gu clan would receive them. Xiao stood at the front of the ship, but he did not move. His eyes were locked on a mountain in the distance. Tian Huazunjia and the rest were standing behind him. Only the little fairy doctor's eyes were locked on the distance. A complicated emotion was present in her eyes. After staring for a long while, the figure on the top of the cloud finally began walking on the clouds. Her clothes fluttered as she appeared like a fairy. She carried an ethereal feeling as she stepped over the clouds and headed over in front of the many eyes. Finally, she was suspended outside of the battleship. The eyes of everyone on the battleship were thrown over when they saw the sudden appearance of this green-clothed lady. A surprise appeared within their eyes. This lady was wearing a pale green dress. Her long black hair was randomly restrained as it spread across her narrow waist. It stretched all the way to her buttocks. Her hair would drift with the gentle wind when it blew over. Appearing out of this world, moreover, her pretty face caused this world to turn. Her alluring eyes were filled with an ethereal feeling, resulting in one having difficulty looking away. After toppling a city, her beauty would topple a country. Extremely beautiful. Such an unparalleled beauty could really bring disaster to a country and its cities. Faced with such a lady that seemed to be born from the spiritual aura of the world, a perfect man would feel ashamed in front of her. It was as though such a person could not be found in this world. A gentle smile was slowly lifted onto Xiao Yan's face as he studied her face with its soul-deep familiarity. Xiao Yan Ji. The green-clothed lady revealed a smile in front of many eyes. Her lovely figure flashed and appeared on the battleship, after which a gentle voice sounded beside Xiao Yan's ears. The familiar form of address was just like a heavy hammer that struck ruthlessly against the softest part within Xiao Yan's heart. He felt the impulse to violently embrace this person in front of him. "Little girl, you are becoming more and more beautiful." Xiao Yan forcefully endured that impulse. He softly laughed, extended his hand, and rubbed Sun Er's head in front of the stunned gazes of the warriors from the black, submerged army. Gu Zhen looked at the lady, who had revealed a beautiful smile. However, he merely gave a bitter smile. He was aware that this kind of smile was something that had bloomed because of this person. It seemed that only when she was in front of this person would the indifferent female goddess Sun Er truly reveal this young ladylike emotion. This little fellow has actually hooked onto this female goddess of the Gu clan. No wonder those fellows from the Gu clan treated him like that. However, this little fellow is really too great. That gentle-looking young man from the Yin clan watched this scene from a corner of the battleship. His face involuntarily filled with admiration. It will not be easy. The current Xiao clan is not the Xiao clan from back then. The red-clothed lady with a veil over her face paused her eyes on Sun Er before softly speaking. "Haha, you should not underestimate Xiao Yan. Being able to walk to this stage, where even we must view him seriously from a wasted bloodline clan, is not something that an ordinary person can achieve. It is not impossible for the Xiao clan to prosper because of him." Huaxian laughed and spoke indifferently. The few people by the side involuntarily raised their eyebrows when they heard Huaxian high praise of Xiao Yan. However, They did not say anything. Clearly, they did not really trust his words. Xiao Yin Ji, can you accompany Sun Er for a walk? Sun Er briefly reminisced about old times with Xiao Yin before she smiled and moved. After which, she rushed toward the mountain range. Xiao Yin behind her slowly inhaled a breath. He was aware that the reason Sun Er had shown herself to him was because she wished to display her determination to summon the Gu clan. Since this girl had acted without fear, Xiao Yin would naturally not act cowardly. He. Since this is the case, allow me to see just how great this Gu clan is. A pride surged into Xiao Yan's heart as he glanced over the continuous mountains that seemed permeated with an ancient aura. He loudly laughed, waved his hand, and led the little fairy doctor's group from the battleship, after which he swiftly chased Sun Er. Bang! However, Xiao Yan's sharp spiritual perception caught 10 extremely powerful eyes sweeping over his body the moment he left the battleship. All of these eyes contained an extremely powerful pressure. It was as though even the surrounding space had stilled at this moment. Humph! Xiao Yan's expression sank as he sensed the change of the surrounding space. These people from the Gu clan really did wish to ruthlessly teach him a lesson. Bang! A hot flame suddenly exploded in the sky at that moment. The frightening fire wave spread in a rumbling fashion with Xiao Yan at the middle. That frightening temperature caused quite a number of people on the battleship to reveal a shocked expression. What a powerful heavenly flame! The red-clothed lady called Huaji revealed a strange feeling in her eyes. She stared intently at the figure within the fire wave. At the same time, the fire seal between her brows also became hotter. The flame raged and spread. The surrounding stilled space had suddenly split apart at this moment. Xiao Yan stepped with the flame and was suspended high in the sky. His eyes locked onto certain spots within the mountain range. The owners of these gazes were extremely powerful. However, it was really a ridiculous dream if they wished to rely on the pressure contained in their eyes to suppress Xiao Yan. Huh! A surprised exclamation materialized from the mountain range after they watched Xiao Yan break their solidified space in such an easy manner. How presumptuous! Elders, don't you know what etiquette is? Attacking the moment you meet a guest of the Gu clan. Are you trying to get others to think that our Gu clan is full of barbarians? Sun Er's lovely body flashed and appeared beside Xiao Yan as the fire wave surged. Her bright eyes were ice-cold as she overlooked the mountain range. Her cold and indifferent voice resonated. Young Miss, words are too serious. We have not seen a member of the Xiao clan for many years. Now that we have met one, we ended up becoming momentarily excited and wished to probe his strength. An elderly figure slowly appeared in the sky after Sun Er's words had just sounded. This person was wearing gray robes. His face was cold, stern, and old-fashioned. His eyes contained an unfriendliness as he glared at Xiao Yan. Xiao Yan stared at the gray-robed old man who had appeared. Clearly, he was one of those who had attacked him earlier. An 8-star Dozun, huh? Xiao Yan's gaze swept over the gray-clothed old man. A fluctuation flashed across his eyes. He coldly laughed in his heart. It seemed that there were quite a number of people within the Gu clan who hated him. This trip to the Gu clan would not be smooth. Elder Gu Qian, today is the day that our Gu clan is receiving guests. This act of yours is a little overboard. Leave, you will not do it again. A faint voice slowly spread from deep within the mountain range before finally resounding over the sky. Understood. Gu Qian respectfully cupped his hands to the deepest part of the mountain range when he heard these words. After which, he bowed to Sun Er and glanced indifferently at Xiao Yan. Then, he turned around and rushed to the deepest parts of the mountain range. Xiao Yan Ji, are you all right? Sun Er watched Gu Qian leave before turning around to softly ask. I'm fine. Xiao Yan smiled and shook his head. Xiao Yan Ji, Do you now know why Sun Er didn't want you to come to the Gu clan earlier?
Sun Er sighed.
She did not expect these pedantic old fellows to not be able to control themselves. They had thought of attacking and deterring Xiao Yin the moment he had arrived at the Gu clan. Xiao Yin smiled. He was naturally aware that Sun Er did not wish for him to come to the Gu clan to be mocked. Hence, she had repeatedly asked him to raise his strength before coming to look for her. Let's go. I already understood what I would face before I came to the Gu realm. These matters cannot be left for you to bear alone. You have helped me withstand them for so many years, and it should be my turn. Xiao Yin smiled as he spoke. With his current strength, he did possess the qualification to utter these words. If that elder Gu Qian were to attack earlier, Xiao Yin would not allow him to gain the slightest advantage. Sun Er was slightly startled when she heard Xiao Yan's gentle voice. She sweetly smiled. She had indeed helped Xiao Yin delay the Gu clan for a long time. Fortunately, the current her had dragged it out until Xiao Yin had grown. The current Xiao Yin already possessed the ability to bear all of this with her. A figure was standing with his hands behind his back on top of a steep mountain. His eyes watched Xiao Yin and Sun Er in the sky. A trace of black and white hair gently drifted in front of his forehead. A pair of cold, demon-like eyes were visible under his hair. This Xiao Yin has finally come. A strange laugh suddenly sounded while a silver-robed man strangely appeared from behind. Gu Yao, looks like the relationship between Sun Er and him is quite good. Are you not intending on giving up? The silver-robed man looked at the black and white-haired man in front of him and teased him. He is not a member of the Gu clan. Hence, he cannot be together with Sun Er. I will wake him up. The other man's calm voice was without the slightest fluctuation. It was as though he was mentioning an insignificant matter. What if he insists on not leaving? The silver-robed man laughed. The man's eyes were lifted slightly as he muttered, "Then let him die." After that elder called Gu Qian was told to withdraw, Sun Er's bright eyes once again swept over the vast mountain range. They finally paused on a green mountain. She could sense an extremely faint but exceptionally icy killing intent. Gu Yao, if you dare try anything funny, I will definitely not let you off. Sun Er clenched her hand as a furious expression flashed across her pretty eyes. Let's go. Xiao Yin Ji. Sun Er slowly suppressed the fluctuation within her heart. She turned to Xiao Yin beside her, only to discover that his eyes had also locked on the spot where her eyes had paused earlier. A very strong person, Xiao Yin softly said. With his outstanding spiritual perception, he could sense an extremely faint but dangerous aura spreading from that mountain. Moreover, this aura was clearly targeting him. Ordinary means are useless if one wishes to truly remove some resistance within the Gu clan. Xiao Yan's expression was calm. Although he had defeated Ling Quan and Lin Xiao, who were the experts of the Gu clan's younger generation in Gu's sacred city, he understood that they were far from sufficient to prove his strength. In the eyes of the old fellows from the Gu clan, defeating Lin Xiao's duo would not cause them to look at him differently. Hence, the current Xiao Yin needed to find a peak expert of the younger generation within the Gu clan. Someone who possessed a truly great reputation and make that person his opponent. Moreover, he must win such an exchange. Otherwise, those clan members within the Gu clan, who had remained neutral, might start opposing him. Therefore, he must not fail. It was obvious that Lin Xiao's group did not possess the qualification to be called such an opponent. Guzhen possesses quite a great reputation within the Black Submerged Army. However, he had yet to reach the peak level among the younger generation within the Gu clan. Currently, there were only 4 people in the Gu clan who met such a requirement. They were the 4 generals of the Black Submerged Army. Xiao Yin was certain that the dangerous aura from earlier should be from one of the 4 generals. Let's go. Xiao Yin slowly withdrew his eyes. He smiled at Sun Er as he spoke. Sun Er slightly nodded. Her delicate body moved, and her posture was as alluring and elegant as a flying butterfly. Xiao Yan's group followed close behind her in front of the many gazes around. That man on the distant green mountain with the black and white hair over his forehead stared in the direction where Xiao Yan's group had headed. A faint cold smile was lifted on his face. "Ha, he is indeed worthy of being from the Xiao clan. That gaze he threw over earlier, you should be aware of what it means, right? He actually wishes to challenge you." That silver-robed man laughed. "Challenge? Huh? A cow that is just born isn't afraid of the tiger." Gu Yao raised his eyes and faintly said, "Tomorrow will be the adult ceremony. According to the rules, I can choose my own opponent. Seeing that he is full of such courage, I shall give him a chance tomorrow. As for Sun Er, she will understand my actions in the future." Gu Yao's figure gradually became illusory after his voice slowly sounded. A moment later, he completely disappeared. "Haha, how interesting. How many years has it been since the younger generation of the Gu and Xiao clans have exchanged blows? I really anticipate whether this Xiao Yin can surprise us." The silver-robed man laughed. His body gradually became blurry and completely disappeared a moment later. Only low laughter continued to reverberate over the mountain. While being led by Sun Er, Xiao Yan's group did not head to the special receiving area of the Gu clan. Instead, they stopped in front of a bamboo house in the deepest parts of the mountain range. At this moment, an elderly figure was smiling as he watched Xiao Yan's group descend in front of the bamboo house. "Old Ling?" Xiao Yan was startled when he saw the familiar figure in front of the bamboo house. He immediately smiled and cupped his hands together. "Haha, it has been less than 10 years. It is unexpected that young Master Xiao Yan has already reached such a stage. It really causes the old me to feel ashamed," Ling sighed. When he had been under orders to secretly protect Xiao Yan back then, Xiao Yan had merely been a young and inexperienced individual who had just washed off the humiliation from having his engagement cancelled. Yet that youth was now a renowned expert across the Central Plains. "Let's go. Please enter first. This place is my training area. Seldom anyone can come here. I think that Xiao Yan Ji will likely not like to go anywhere else." Sun Er smiled and spoke. Xiao Yan nodded. The environment of this place was quiet. It matched what he liked. After what he had done, it was likely that he was already a hot conversation topic for the Gu clan. Therefore, he did not wish to head to those places to be observed by others like a monkey. The group followed Sun Er and entered the bamboo house, after which they sat down in the living room. Xiao Yan took the opportunity to introduce both parties. When Sun Er and Ling heard that the delicate and pretty-looking Qing Lin possessed the triple jade-green snake flower pupils, a surprise expression flashed across their faces. They had also heard about these mysterious eyes. "Young Master Xiao Yan, the time for you to come to the Gu clan is far earlier than what the old me expected," Ling sighed. Originally, he thought that Xiao Yan would require at least 20 years before coming to the Gu clan. Astonishingly, he had arrived after about 10 years. However, with young Master Xiao Yan's strength, you do possess the qualification to come to the Gu clan. Young Miss will be able to relax a little with you here. There are many people in the clan that suggest bringing everyone from the Xiao clan into the Gu realm. I think that you should be aware of the intention of bringing them here." Fortunately, young Miss and some elders opposed it. Only then was the thought dispelled from those people. However, this was only a temporarily piece because someone brings up such a suggestion almost every year. In order to obtain enough time for you, young Miss had entered a prolonged period of retreat. The Gu clan greatly values their bloodline. The denser one's bloodline is, the greater the weight that person's words carry. Young Miss has continuously undertaken a retreat to bitterly train during these years in order for her words to become even more important. Only by doing this will she be able to suppress the suggestions of those within the clan who are prepared to attack the Xiao clan. The process was difficult. Fortunately, young Miss eventually succeeded. The status of the current her within the clan is such that even some elders would have to greet her when they meet. The decision to attack the Xiao clan had been suppressed by her until now. Linging sighed when he spoke until this point. He said, "The old me is aware that young Master Xiao must have undergone many hardships in order to reach your current level within a short decade. However, young Miss has also put in a great amount of effort." "Old Ling," Sun Er softly cried out, after which she shook her head at Ling Ying and indicated that he should not continue to speak. Ling Ying smiled when he saw her shake her head. He said, "This old fellow is like this. I cannot control my mouth." Xiao faintly smiled. His dark black eyes stared at this elegant appearance that could bring disaster to countries and cities. He gently held Sun Er's hands and softly said, "It has been hard on you during these years. I shall bear all of this in the future. I will resolve the pressure from your clan." A bright redness surfaced on Sun Er's face as she sensed the warmth that was transmitted from her hand. Her heart felt a little pleased. Regardless of how strong she showed herself to be in front of her clan members, she was still a girl. Her heart possessed the softness of a girl. She appeared to be satisfied that her many years of effort could obtain these words. She did not hope for much. Although she possessed an incomparable talent and a powerful bloodline, she was incomparably persistent and even stubborn when it came to the matters of her heart. The feelings she had developed when she was young had been buried deep within her memories. They had gradually fermented with the flow of time, turning mellow and moving. "Xiao Yin Ji, tomorrow will be the adult ceremony within the Gu clan. This adult ceremony usually has nothing to do with you guests who have been invited. However, due to you being a member of the Xiao clan as well as my involvement, this adult ceremony will definitely involve you." Sun Er slightly knit her brows and said, "According to the rules, any clan member who participates in the adult ceremony will be able to choose someone to spar with. Some people will likely not easily give up such a fair opportunity. Of course, with Xiao Yin Ji's current strength, there are not many people who can defeat you even within the younger generation of the Gu clan. However, there are 4 people who are likely not included." "The 4 great generals?" Xiao softly inquired. The strength of these 4 are all at the 8th star Dozun level and above. Moreover, they are said to be existences with the highest chance of becoming the Black Submerged King." Sun Er's face was grave as she said, "Among the 4 of them, the one who will most likely target you is the one called Devil General Gu Yao." "Devil General Gu Yao," Xiao slowly muttered. He immediately said, "The person from earlier should be him, right?" "Aye." Sun Er nodded. Her heart was a little surprised. It was unexpected that Xiao had sensed Gu Yao's aura. Gu Yao's talent is extraordinary. He also possesses an extremely rich Dodi bloodline. Most of the people within the clan hope that I will get together with him. Half a year ago, he has also took the initiative to mention this to the Elder Council. However, he was rejected by me. The reason is because of Xiao Ji. Sun Er bitterly laughed and said, "Given his character, he will definitely target you during tomorrow's adult ceremony. He clearly understands that if he defeats you during such an occasion, those remaining neutral within the clan will lean to his side." Xiao slightly nodded. The teacup in his hand suddenly formed some ripples. He similarly understood that this was a rare opportunity for him. If he lost, the members of the Gu clan would not think greatly of him. However, if Gu Yao lost, those elders within the Gu clan would likely have difficulty finding any excuse to find trouble with the matter between Xiao and Sun Er in the future. Therefore, this battle with Gu Yao was the intersection between paradise and hell. Hence, he could not lose this fight. The night sky was like water that spread over the land. Cool moonlight scattered down and covered the entire mountain range with a layer of silver yarn. In the middle of the mountain range, A cluster of buildings stood one after another. They were like numerous ancient beasts standing under the moonlight, emitting traces of an ancient aura. At this moment, these halls were well lit. These few days was a festive period for the Gu clan, and many places were well lit and decorated. It was filled with a joyous atmosphere. It appeared exceptionally quiet on a mountain far from these magnificent ancient halls. Without the noise, this place was just like the residence of a hermit. It was calm and quiet. A snow-white figure stood on the mountain top in an elegant manner. Her pretty eyes were staring at the well-lit halls without making any noise. No one knew just what she was thinking. "Aren't you going to rest?" A gentle voice suddenly sounded on the top of the mountain. A green-clothed figure walked out from the woods. The moonlight scattered across her elegant face, causing her to appear exceptionally enchanting. "This is the Gu realm, huh? It is actually no different than the outside world." The white-clothed figure turned her head and looked at Sun Er, who was walking over slowly. "The pressure that one has to face here is far greater than in the outside world. The Gu clan relies on the strength of its bloodline. However, it has also become desolate because of it. This Gu's sacred mountain range is the holy ground in the hearts of all the descendant citizens of the Gu realm. Every few years, countless numbers of descendant citizens will bring their descendants to this place, hoping that there will be someone with a powerful bloodline among them. Each time around, there will be some people who rejoice, but most of them end up with endless disappointment. During these years, I have seen many people who could not accept the blow of having discovered that their descendants' bloodline has been wasted. They end up committing suicide on the spot." Sun Er's pretty eyes were distant as she looked at the well-lit halls. Her soft voice contained a helplessness that seeped deep into her bones. "Since it is strong, there will naturally be a price to pay." The little fairy doctor quietly nodded and softly replied.
Sun Er sighed.
She naturally also understood this. This was the price that the Gu clan had to pay for its great strength. "Thank you very much for all these years." Sun Er clearly did not wish to get overly entangled on this topic. She turned her head and looked at the gentle pretty face next to her as she said, "Are you referring to Xiao Yan? I am used to it. I feel quite good to be able to help him by his side." The little fairy doctor did not hide much in front of this girl, who was aware of her inner heart. She laughed in a free and easy manner. After which, she glanced at Sun Er and said, "You should not do as you please and say random words. I like this present feeling and do not wish to change anything. However, he will continue to be obtuse if you don't say anything." Sun Er spoke with a smile. The little fairy doctor was non-committal. She glanced at Sun Er before suddenly saying, "I think that you should also be aware of some things related to him, right? What are you referring to?" Sun Er raised her pretty face and asked. The little fairy doctor hesitated for a moment, but did not say anything. "Are you referring to Medusa, or perhaps Kailin?" Sun Er lifted her head slightly. Her pretty eyes looked at the star-filled sky. An unknown feeling was present within her eyes. "You are indeed aware of it. Why do you act as though you are unaware of anything in front of him?" The little fairy doctor sighed. With the information-gathering ability of the Gu clan and Sun Er's current status in the Gu clan, all she needed to do was open her mouth and quite a number of people would deliver the relationship between Kailin and Xiao Yan to her. So what if this is the case? Don't tell me that I should become furious in front of him and get him to kill Kailin? Sun Er curled her small mouth. The corner of her mouth was curled into a shallow and alluring arc. It seemed that she wanted to smile but ended up softly sighing. She muttered, "Actually, I have a headache over this matter. Other people only hope that I will leave him and even end up hating him over this matter. However, I am aware that this is impossible. Since this is the case, why should I make myself unhappy?" Sun Er glanced at the little fairy doctor when she finished speaking. She said, "I am waiting for him to take the initiative to bring up this matter. At that time, I will be able to act ruthless and punish him, allowing him to understand that a man who is fickle when it comes to the matter of the heart will not end up with a good ending. The little fairy doctor glanced at Sun Er. There was a slight anger on her face at this moment. This matter was just like a furious woman who had discovered that her husband was secretly having an affair. All right, I do not wish to discuss such a matter with someone else. Tomorrow is the adult ceremony of the Gu clan. You should also rest early. Hopefully, you will be able to continue to accompany him in the future. The trace of fury on Sun Er's face quickly disappeared as she spoke with a laugh. What about you? The little fairy doctor lifted her narrow eyebrow as she asked. Sun Er's delicate and long eyebrows twitched slightly, but she did not reply. She waved her hand, turned around, and walked to the bamboo house on the middle of the mountain. The little fairy doctor's eyebrows were knit slightly as she watched Sun Er's back. However, she ceased opening her mouth to inquire. Her body flashed as she followed. The Gu's sacred mountain range had become lively when the first ray of morning light scattered down from the sky. Numerous figures shot through the sky. Various gongs and drums that were filled with joy resounded across the mountain range. Creak! A tightly shut door was slowly opened. Xiao Yin, who had already changed into fresh clothes, swiftly walked out. His eyes swept around the area in front of his room, only to see that Sun Er was waiting for him here. He felt a little embarrassed. Xiao Yin, have you rested enough? Sun Er smiled as she stepped forward. Her hand gently pressed against the creases on Xiao Yan's clothes. Her gentle actions were just like an obedient wife. Should the other members of the Gu clan witness this scene, it was likely that their eyes would turn completely red. During these years, Sun Er was elegant and ethereal, appearing like a goddess in front of them. They couldn't imagine just how heartbreaking the scene of their goddess helping a man arrange his clothes was. Xiao Yin smiled and nodded. He sensed the warm hand touching the front of his chest. A fluctuation appeared in his heart before he swiftly withdrew his emotions. His eyes stared into the distance at many buildings before saying, "The adult ceremony is about to begin, right? Let's leave." Sun Er smiled. She beckoned with her hand, and a completely snow-white, strong-looking single-horned beast flapped its snow-white wings and flew out of the forest. After which, it stopped in front of everyone. The lovely body of Sun Er flashed, and she appeared on the spacious back of the single-horned beast. Xiao Yan's group swiftly rushed onto it after seeing her move. After which, Sun Er gently patted the single-horned beast. It flapped its wings amid a clear cry before turning into a ray of light that swiftly rushed toward the many halls in the distance. The speed of the single-horned beast was extremely quick. Within a short couple of minutes, they had arrived where the many buildings stood. They slowly landed at the middle of the cluster of buildings under Sun Er's guidance. With Sun Er accompanying them, Xiao Yan's group was undoubtedly the most eye-catching. Hence, numerous strange gazes from around them were shot over the moment they leaped down from the single-horned beast. "Let's go." Sun Er ignored these gazes. She called out to Xiao Yan's group before taking the lead as they swiftly headed to the middle of an enormous stadium covered in an ancient aura. There were many warriors from the Black Submerged Army wearing their black armor around the ancient stadium. Their sharp eagle-like eyes continuously swept around them. Those sharp eyes clearly paused when they saw Xiao Yan. However, they did not do anything else. Quite a number of figures had already taken their seats around the stadium. However, Sun Er's footsteps did not pause. Instead, she walked toward the seats in the middle of the square. Xiao Yan's group behind her hesitated a moment before following. Clang! Sun Er's slow footsteps had just entered this area when long spears clashed together. Two warriors in golden armor had used their long spears to block Xiao Yan's group. Sun Er's expression immediately changed when she heard this deafening sound. A fury slowly rose within her heart. Move aside. The two warriors in golden armor were startled when they heard the icy cold voice sounding beside their ears. They hesitated a little. Young miss, there is no need to make things difficult for them. This area is a special place. Anyone who has not specifically been invited by the clan is not allowed to enter. Please understand. A faint laugh was slowly emitted. The calm Xiao swept his eyes around and discovered an old man with his hands behind his back. This old man was similar to Gu Qian. From the golden-armored warriors in this region, Xiao was aware that this place was likely a special area. He was not very interested in such an area. However, Sun Er did not think this way. Since Xiao had come to the Gu clan, there was naturally a need for her to give him the best hospitality. This place was a little eye-catching, and Sun Er was also present. Hence, many eyes from immediately shot over. Finally, they gathered onto Xiao. Quite a number of their eyes contained a playfulness. Young miss, elder brother is right. Although Xiao is your good friend, he has not reached the requirement. Therefore, a voice from the side was transmitted over. It was Elder Gu Qian who had attacked Xiao back then. Sun Er's face was ice-cold. Her pretty eyes vaguely contained a golden flame within them. The repeated obstruction by these old fellows seemed to have truly aroused a fury within her heart. Gu Qian, Gu Su, did you two shameless old fellows get it right? The old me is also lazy to bother about the two of you bullying someone. However, you two have bullied my Jia Nan Academy. Do you really think that the old me is a softie? Before Sun Er was about to erupt, a furious curse erupted across the sky. Xiao was somewhat familiar with this voice, causing him to be slightly startled.
Mang Tian chi.
Gu Qian's duo was startled, while Xiao was feeling stunned. Their expressions immediately changed slightly as a shocked voice was emitted from their mouths.